The war between Hitler and Stalin cost more than 25 million lives. It also saw the disappearance of vast amounts of treasure, including 400 masterpieces from Berlin.
Fire in the flak tower destroys a huge amount of art.
And a famous Russian room.
Oh, wow.
Made entirely of amber.
This was the last place the amber room was seen.
Yes?
Two great mysteries and the hunt for missing treasure. At the end of World War II, the Allies made a series of shocking discoveries. Hidden in trains, bunkers, and deep underground, they found mountains of stolen treasure.
That must have been like going into Aladdin's cave.
Hitler and the Nazis had looted an entire continent and committed the greatest theft in history. Now, a team of investigators is opening up cold case files of Nazi plunder still missing today.
We're talking about things that are worth tens of millions of dollars.
Robert Edsel is an expert in Nazi-looted treasure.
Hundreds of thousands of objects are still missing. Well, we have a lot of digging to do.
Joining him is Second World War historian James Holland.
None of this was really his. He'd just taken it.
And investigative journalist Connor Woodman.
And this is a genuine treasure hunt. We dig a hole in the ground and we find those cases.
Their mission, uncover new clues.
Oh gosh, this is it.
Explore Nazi hideouts.
Whoever built this brick wall really didn't want anyone to get through to the other side.
Find out how the treasure was stolen and where it might be now.
What a piece of history.
At the headquarters of the Monuments Men Foundation, an organization that has found and returned many Nazi-looted treasures to their rightful owners, Robert Edsel and art historian Dorothee Schneider are launching the team's new investigation, the Berlin Flak Tower mystery.
This case involves one of the greatest mysteries of World War II, perhaps the greatest loss of cultural property in modern time.
Berlin, early May 1945. Hitler was dead, and the Soviet Red Army's bloody conquest of the city nearly complete.
At the end of the war in May '45, a flak tower, or anti-aircraft tower in Berlin, housed some of the greatest cultural treasures in the world, placed there for safekeeping.
The Friedrichshain Flak Tower was a mighty fortress near the center of the city. With reinforced concrete walls 4 meters thick, it was virtually impenetrable. Hundreds of masterpieces belonging to Berlin's museums were placed inside, where they should have been entirely safe. But these eyewitness reports claim that not long after the German surrender, a series of fires ripped through the flak tower, likely burning its contents to ashes.
I have this report here. It's 441 masterpieces to be exact, including Rubens, Caravaggio, big names worth billions of dollars.
This inventory list, prepared at the end of the war, captures the enormity of what may be the biggest tragedy in the history of art. For decades, it was thought everything on this list was destroyed.
They're some of the most important paintings in the world, all thought to have been destroyed. And yet we know now today, through our research and the research of others, some works of art survived. And that's the focus of our case, to find out what's out there.
To solve the Friedrichshain Flak Tower mystery, the team must go back to the final chaotic days of the Battle of Berlin. Historian James Holland is at the scene of Nazi Germany's last stand.
I'm here in Berlin to investigate the mystery that surrounds the loss of a number of priceless works of art at the very end of the war. It's important to understand the context in which this was happening. Today, Berlin is a modern, thriving city, but if I'd been standing outside the Reichstag here in May 1945, all I'd have seen is complete and utter devastation. The entire city lay in ruins, pounded by relentless Allied bombing. While in those final weeks of the war, a battle raged between revenge-fueled Soviet troops and the remnants of the German armed forces, with civilians caught up in the middle. This was a time where normal life had completely broken down. It was a time of utter chaos.
Amidst the chaos, the flak towers were some of the only buildings left standing.
From really early on in the war, the RAF started bombing Berlin, and in response to this, the Germans decided to massively strengthen the city's anti-aircraft defences. And centred to this were 3 enormous flak towers. And actually, you can see on this map really clearly, there was one here at Humboldthain, another one at Zoo, and a third one here at Friedrichshain, where I'm heading now to find out what happened to that art in May of 1945.
The massive Friedrichshain flak tower complex comprised of 2 buildings. The gun tower, which stood over 220 feet high and was crowned with a battery of anti-aircraft cannons, and a nearby radar tower to detect approaching bombers. It was here that Berlin's museum curators brought their treasures for safe storage. James has come to Friedrichshain to meet Sascha Keil, a Berliner who has spent 2 decades finding and exploring the city's hidden wartime bunkers.
Sascha, I know we're in Friedrichshain now, and I know there was a monstrous flak tower here, but where was it?
See the hill?
Yeah.
Under this hillock is this.
So that's just been buried, effectively.
Yeah.
Create a hill, cover it in soil, plant some grass, job done. Was there anything you can still see?
Yeah, you can see some pieces on top. I can show you. This is one balcony, you can say.
Well, it's amazing to see this little bit sticking up.
It's just this one piece.
How amazing.
On May the 2nd, 1945, the Red Army seized Friedrichshain and its counterpart tower at Zoo and found the massive stockpiles of priceless treasure stored in both. But that is where the similarity between the 2 towers ends and the Friedrichshain mystery begins.
So, Sascha, let me get this straight. So the Russians take over the Zoo flag tower at the beginning of May, and they do so in an orderly fashion. They put in guards. They know there's treasures there, and they're protected. But they don't do the same here at Friedrichshain. The art is still in the radar tower, unprotected.
That is the first idea I would have as an officer, that they ignored everything.
No guards were posted at the tower, and no protection was given to the treasures inside. Mobs of desperate Berliners now broke in, on the hunt for food, shelter, and anything else they could lay their hands on.
There's no guards. People are looting and coming in and out and taking away things.
But responsible persons, generals, officers, and guards. Why did they ignore Friedrichshain and let it open to the public or anyone else?
Over 3 days, from May the 2nd to the 5th, locals ransacked the tower, taking anything they could find.
And then sometime between the night of the 5th of May and the morning of the 6th, there's a fire on the 1st floor.
But this was just the beginning. Over the next 10 days, 2 more blazes erupted on the 2nd and 3rd floors, burning out of control.
We're talking about incineration. We're talking about extreme heat, aren't we?
Yeah, they burned for days, so hot.
When the smoke finally cleared, museum curators entered the tower and found knee-high piles of ash where the treasure once was stored. But for the team, questions remain. Was all the art destroyed? Or is it possible some items survived, spirited away by looters before the blaze broke out? The team is in Berlin to investigate the disappearance of $2 billion worth of treasure in 1945.
There's a fire in the Flak Tower, and that destroys a huge amount of art.
But evidence is now emerging that some of this treasure may have survived.
But even earlier than that, people are looting and coming in and out and taking away things.
Now Robert Edsel has come to Berlin to follow a new lead. He's meeting Brian Horney, the son of an American soldier who was stationed in the city after the war.
Your father was working with Allied military government and civil affairs right at the end of the war and was in Berlin. Well, buildings still would have been practically smoldering.
It was a disaster. There wasn't anything functional. They got food for people, housing for people. They got the place safe again.
While helping with urgent relief work, Horney had a fateful encounter with a Berliner looking to exchange a rolled-up painting for water and food.
He met a lady who was totally devastated, and he supplied her food and water and apparently saw the painting. It was not framed. He said, you know, what I saw was just a painting of a Madonna. So he paid her for the painting. What? I don't know. He didn't look at the value of it. He looked at the painting. And it's a beautiful painting.
Brian's father returned to Pennsylvania with his treasure, and it remained in the family for nearly 70 years, until the day Brian took it to a nearby gallery to be reframed.
So I took it in, and they said, do you know how valuable this is? I said, no, I have no idea.
The painting was sent to Sotheby's auction house in New York, where it was positively identified as a Renaissance-era work by Italian master Giovanni Boltraffio, a friend and colleague of Leonardo da Vinci. And there was other shocking news.
We heard from Sotheby's that it was in one of the flak towers.
Sotheby's had discovered the painting on a wartime list of works stored at Friedrichshain and assumed destroyed. The unidentified Berliner had somehow acquired it and sold it on to Daniel Horney.
I never knew her name, and he never mentioned it.
And no way of knowing where she got it from.
None whatsoever. He had no idea where it came from.
In 2012, Brian returned this masterpiece to its rightful owners, the Gemälde Gallery in Berlin. Its survival is definitive proof that at least one of the paintings made it out of the Flak Tower intact. But what of the other 440 paintings stored at Friedrichshain, including this work by Caravaggio, Saint Matthew and the Angel, which would be worth tens of millions of dollars if found today? What was its fate? Robert has come to Berlin's Bode Museum to see some items that survived the fire. Not paintings, but statues and sculptures which bear witness to the violence and chaos of those final days of the war.
So tell me about this.
This is a work that has been in Berlin since the 17th century. And it's a work that was damaged in 1945. It was in the Friedrichshain fire. It also served as a target for soldiers. We don't know if they were Russian or German soldiers. There are two bullet holes that are visible in the back. There's one here that you can see, and another one here in the right shoulder. And the most disturbing is the one in the temple here. Every time I look at this sculpture, I see a child with a bullet in his head.
It stands as a testament to part of history.
Yes, absolutely.
In the museum's basement, Julian shows Robert a relief that also survived the inferno.
Well, a Della Robbia.
Yes. The Della Robbia were a family in Florence that developed a technical process for glazed terracotta. This relief is extremely useful to understand what happened physically in the Friedrichshain bunker. The heat was so high that the glaze became liquid again, it liquefied, and that ashes that was in the air settled in the molten glaze, which then hardened. This type of glazed first becomes liquid at temperatures above 1000 degrees Celsius. And we know from documents that the second fire lasted for 2 or 3 days.
So using this work of art as a way, kind of an autopsy of what took place in Friedrichshain as you described.
Yes.
So in effect, portions of the lost paintings and some of the other works of art there are evidenced here in fragments.
Maybe there are relics of the Caravaggios in the dust that you see here, but we will never know.
Extraordinary.
Sadly.
These damaged works of art are not only evidence of the intensity of the fires, but also lead Robert to the next stage of the investigation.
It looks like an accident scene. You have 2 adolescents lying on stretchers. These 2 were returned in 1958 from the Soviet Union.
After the fire, Soviet archaeologists entered the Flak Tower, removed any surviving treasure, and took it to the Soviet Union. The archaeologists were part of what was known as the Red Army Trophy Brigades, which took cultural artifacts from Germany as compensation for Soviet war losses.
2.5 million objects were taken. They were distributed among a number of museums in the Soviet Union. The 2 most important ones were the Pushkin Museum in Moscow and the Hermitage in St. Petersburg.
We know the Red Army Trophy Brigades took millions of items from Germany. But did they remove treasures from the Flak Tower before the fires broke out? If unarmed civilians managed to make off with art, how much more could a well-equipped Red Army unit have plundered? In Dallas, Robert and Dorothée are looking at the Soviets' motive.
I think when we talk about Berlin in May 1945, we really have to go back to June 1941 with Nazi Germany's invasion into the Soviet Union. That's really when it all begins.
Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union was the biggest and deadliest act of aggression in history. He considered the Russians to be Untermensch, or subhuman. His relentless 4-year war of annihilation claimed nearly 25 million Soviet lives through combat, starvation, and genocide.
The losses are staggering, but it's not, of course, just the losses, it's the pillaging and the looting.
As they advanced, the Nazis seized every possible opportunity to ransack the nation of its treasures. It was cultural warfare on an unprecedented scale.
And the Nazis, they looted and pillaged so much in the Soviet Union. The museums that were looted, places of worship that were blown up.
Exactly. I mean, when you get to 1944, the fall of 44, and the spring of 45, as Berlin's encircled by the Soviet Red Army forces, they're running the looting and the pillaging in reverse. They're out for revenge.
For the Soviets, the loss of one treasure above all others came to symbolize what they'd suffered at the hands of the Nazis. Investigative journalist Connor Woodman is in St. Petersburg to find out more about the theft of this cultural icon and how it drove the Soviets' quest for revenge.
I'm about 25 kilometers outside St. Petersburg on my way to Catherine's Palace, which once housed the 8th wonder of the world, the Amber Room. It went missing from here in 1941, stolen by the Nazis, and it's never been found. It's still considered by many to be the greatest art mystery of all time.
The Catherine Palace was conceived as a summer house for the Russian royal family, and no expense was spared in its construction. But for Hitler's looters, the real prize lay within. Crafted more than 300 years ago by German artisans as a gift to Russia, the Amber Room, with its soaring panels of glittering amber, was the prime target on the Nazis' cultural rampage through the East.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
This is a meticulous reproduction of the original.
Look at this. This is so much bigger than I thought it would be. I had no idea that it would be as vast as this.
Когда началась эвакуация музейных предметов из нашего дворца, конечно, первое, что попытались сделать наши сотрудники, это снять наши знаменитые янтарные панно. Но, к сожалению, оказалось, что это невозможно, потому что по ряду причин панно стали осыпаться. Поэтому решено было оставить ее на месте.
In a last-ditch effort to save the room, palace staff tried concealing the panels with wallpaper. But the conquering Germans saw through the ruse. In November 1941, a team of Nazi art experts arrived at the palace and quickly dismantled the room with surgical precision.
So they obviously worked out a way to move it that the Russians hadn't been able to work out.
Существовала целая кюнсткоманда, команда искусствоведов, которые этим занимались. Им удалось за 36 часов демонтировать эти панно.
For the Germans to have turned up here with 20 curators who were amber experts, they must have come here specifically to take the amber room.
Да, конечно, немцы, их командование, немецкие искусствоведы, они, конечно, понимали, какую ценность. Немецкие искусствоведы считали, что они возвращают свое.
2.5 years later, in January 1944, the Red Army liberated Leningrad, and palace staff returned to find their worst fears realized. The amber room was gone, and the rest of the palace had been burned and gutted.
Конечно, состояние, ощущение от увиденного было очень тяжелое, потому что, когда они сюда вошли, они увидели полностью разрушенный дворец.
The Catherine Palace has since been painstakingly restored to its former glory. But for Vika, it will never be complete without the original amber room.
And what do you think? Do you think one day someone will find the original amber room?
Мы надеемся и будем надеяться до последнего.
As the Nazis sped away with the amber room, they could not have known their actions would stoke the fires of revenge and provoke the Soviets to blaze their own trail of plunder all the way to Berlin and the Friedrichshain Flak Tower. The team is searching for masterpieces taken from a Berlin treasure hoard in the final hours of the war, and the Red Army is a prime suspect. In Berlin, Robert has a rendezvous with Konstantin Akinsha. He was a curator at the Kiev Museum in the early 1990s, and he made a shocking discovery. Stashes of art taken from Germany and secretly kept in the back rooms of Soviet museums.
Konstantin, tell me how that came about. What was that moment like when you realized what you'd found?
When I came as a young curator to the museum, I saw all these hidden treasures. And I found that half of our collection is not ours. We had works from German museums which we were hiding.
Shocked by what he saw, Konstantin investigated further and discovered the Kiev Museum was just one of 50 secret repositories of art taken from Germany by the Red Army trophy brigades.
Where did the idea of the Soviet trophy brigades for culture come from?
Commodities. The main brigades were not specialized in art.
Right.
For example, it was a special trophy brigade coming to Germany to collect shoes. So, trains packed by shoes were sent to Russia. Special trophy brigades were collecting hats. So, hats were sent to Russia.
And this all emanates from Stalin's view that the Soviet Union has, of course, suffered enormous losses, which it has,
Yeah, of course.
and that it should receive compensation for these losses.
Yeah, and the art was the same.
You destroyed our works of art, so we're going to take yours to compensate for the
Yeah,
losses.
all in all, we are talking about more than 2.5 million of objects.
2.5 million objects under the trophy brigade.
Yeah, under the trophy brigades, moved to Russia.
Following Stalin's death in 1953, the Soviets returned an estimated 1.5 million of these objects to communist East Germany. But that left 1 million works of art still hidden away behind the Iron Curtain. The question now, Were the trophy brigades somehow involved in the Friedrichshain mystery? Constantine is doubtful.
The city was in the state of complete chaos, and all around Berlin they encountered problems. They made unbelievable mistake with toward Friedrichshain.
The trophy brigades quickly secured the zoo flak tower and its treasures. But they were delayed in reaching its counterpart at Friedrichshain.
All these treasures was there, it was not guarded, and people were coming there. A lot of displaced persons, locals. Of course, soldiers were looking, but like every army had the same problem.
So there's Soviet Red Army soldiers that are picking things up to take them back, for which there really was no accounting.
Yeah, of course.
So things that are lost, perhaps thought to be destroyed and might show up in Russia at some point in time?
Of course, they could be sitting in storages, and we don't know what still could be found there.
It seems like the best place to be looking for the missing objects is somewhere in Russia or the former Soviet republics.
Of course, but for this you need one thing. You need access to the repositories of museums. I think that some surprises are waiting for us in these repositories.
How do I get it?
That's another question.
Connor has flown to the city of Kaliningrad in Russia. Before the war, it was the German city of Königsberg, home of Königsberg Castle, the last verified location of the Amber Room. This is all that remains of the structure today. Connor has come to meet with the castle's historian to find out more about the Amber Room's time here, and if the ruins might still hold any clues to its fate.
Well, this is it.
Wow.
Rest of the Royal Königsberg Castle.
This was the last place the Amber Room was seen?
Yes.
According to Nazi records, the room was transported here directly from the Catherine Palace in late fall 1941.
Why Königsberg? Why was Königsberg so important to the Germans?
In the propaganda, it was like a city fortress, you know.
Right.
But actually, the castle itself, it's not a fortress. It's more like a palace for the museum here. It's a big museum, big collection.
The Nazis filled the castle museum with looted art, and it was here the Amber Room was reassembled and put on display. For Hitler and the Nazis, it was an unqualified triumph, a historic example of German craftsmanship repatriated to the fatherland after more than 2 centuries in Russia.
For the Germans to have sent so much important art, including the Amber Room, to this place, they must have felt like this was a pretty safe castle.
Yeah,
they,
of course.
They were never going to lose it.
Losing the war was not in their plans.
In 1943, the Allies turned the tide against Germany, and Königsberg became a prime target for their bombers. For its protection, the Amber Room was disassembled, crated up, and moved into storage deep inside the castle.
This is pretty much where we know the Amber Room was stored to keep it safe from the bombing. So it's quite likely that somewhere along here was the last place the Amber Room was seen.
It's underground level of the building that contains the Amber Room, and after that, just disappeared from the history.
The Red Army surrounded Königsberg on January the 15th, 1945, and after a brutal 3-month siege, took the city and its castle on April the 10th. Nazi records show the Germans evacuated at least some of the valuable art housed at Königsberg Castle before the city was surrounded. But were the delicate panels of the Amber Room among them? More than 70 years later, the debate over its fate continues.
And where do you think it is?
I don't know. There's no evidence of existence in the room somewhere after the war, but some other objects, out of documents, were transported to Germany, and we found it after the war. And I think if Germans transported the documents, they actually transported the amber room.
Yeah, which would you take first?
Yeah.
Your documents or your amber room? I know
Yeah.
which one I'd take.
Yeah.
It's possible the amber room was safely evacuated to a carefully selected hiding place before the Red Army surrounded the city. And he's far from alone. There are dozens of theories as to its current location, from a half-finished Nazi bunker near Mamerki, Poland, to an ancient tunnel beneath a church near Gdansk, to a silver mine near Germany's border with the Czech Republic. For all the rampant speculation, only one thing is certain. The Amber Room was the Nazis' ultimate prize. They were desperate to hide it and keep it from falling back into Soviet hands. For Connor, the question now is, where? In the hunt for the Flak Tower treasures, Robert has learned that it wasn't only Soviet trophy brigades that took German cultural artifacts. Rogue Red Army soldiers were also guilty of looting thousands of works of art. He's in Russia, at St. Petersburg's legendary Hermitage Museum, to see if there is any chance works that survived the Friedrichshain fires might still be found in Russia's national galleries.
We're here at the General Headquarters building at the Hermitage. It's an extraordinarily rich collection with works of art that were taken from Germany at the end of the war and brought to the Soviet Union, where they sat in archives for many, many decades.
In 1995, 4 years after the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia's two greatest museums, the Hermitage and the Pushkin in Moscow, put more than 130 masterworks taken from Germany on public display. Many still hang in the Hermitage today.
To see this remarkable painting by Degas in spectacular condition, the freshness and the crispness of it, and this great painting by Van Gogh, the White House at Night. These paintings have such vibrancy and energy to them, and it's just a joy to be able to be here and see these works of art and know that they've been preserved well.
But before they were taken by the trophy brigades and shipped to the Soviet Union, these paintings had once belonged to Germans. They don't come from the Flak Tower, but other collections. Neither the Hermitage nor the Russian government has any intention of returning them. Mikhail Piotrovsky has been the museum's director since 1990 and oversaw the introduction of these contentious paintings.
There's controversy about the pictures that are here at the Hermitage in Pushkin that came out of Germany.
Yes, well, you know, it's not a problem. We have taken them, we deserve it. There was a war, we won the war, it's okay. But it must be seen by the people because art is above economics, art is above politics. Art is not an object of property and money. Art is very special. It really belongs to everybody, wherever it is.
But what about the treasures at the heart of the Flak Tower mystery? Is there any chance some are hanging in Russia's great museums and galleries?
You're a great student of history. What do you think happened in the fire at the Friedrichshain Flak Tower in Berlin? In the early years, the standard line was everything was destroyed in the fire, but we now know that wasn't true because there were some smaller format paintings that were found. Do you think some of these missing works of art might have also survived and might be in the museums?
I don't think so. We will know if they're in the collections of the museums, and today they're not.
So there's no hope that there'll be more paintings like that surface?
You know, there must be hope, but still have to understand that a lot of things have been destroyed. But from time to time, people are finding things. We know that a lot of things have been taken also by the Soviet soldiers, even though it was considered to be illegal. So some of the work of art could still be in Russia, in collections, private collections.
So in the former Soviet countries, taken by Soviet soldiers?
Oh, it's terrible, but it is how it is.
Treasures from the Friedrichshain Flak Tower could be in the hands of private collectors in Russia today. But Robert needs to investigate further. In Kaliningrad, Russia, Connor's investigation into the Nazi theft of the Amber Room continues near the ruins of Königsberg Castle.
Well, I'm only a stone's throw from the castle. This is a bunker that's been excavated by the Museum of Kaliningrad, and I'm going to meet a guy here who's got a theory that this bunker and maybe other bunkers are connected by a system of tunnels, and even that the Amber Room might be inside one of them.
Sergei Trifonov is a treasure hunter who has spent the last 3 decades searching for the Amber Room.
Sergei, why do you think the Amber Room is in this spot?
Я не думаю, я уверен. Я более 30 лет занимаюсь этой проблематикой и считаю, что янтарный кабинет находится под полом бункера. Мы сделали сверление и доказали это.
So the Nazis took the Amber Room, they hid it in a bunker below this bunker, and then they sealed it so that to make it look as though there was no bunker there. Is that the theory?
Да. Более того, у меня полная уверенность, что янтарная комната из Кёнигсберга не вывозилась. Вот система подземных ходов, то, что я получил из Германии.
Sergei obtained this map from a historian in Berlin. It revealed another bunker below that had not been entered in decades.
Это старый город. И подземные ходы, которые идут от Королевского замка в сторону бункера.
The Nazis used the city's old tunnels to link their bunkers. Sergei believes that as the Soviets surrounded the city, the Amber Room was secretly taken from the castle through these tunnels and sealed inside the secret bunker. In 2013, with the City Museum's permission, Sergei bored a new hole into the 1942 bunker.
You had them make this hole?
Мы попросили прорубить люк, вырезали люк.
All right, let's have a look. Dark, creepy bunkers, just what we love.
Sergei's excavation revealed a flooded chamber that had to be pumped out before it could be safely explored. Draining the chamber revealed a hastily built brick wall.
Okay, so we have an interesting bunker because everything in here is clearly fabricated out of concrete, but at the end there is a brick wall, which is completely different to everything else in here.
Sergei recently gained permission to bore a new hole near the top and insert a camera probe to see what lay beyond.
It's a really thick brick wall.
Кирпичная, 1,50 m.
1.50 m. So whoever built this brick wall really didn't want anyone to get through to the other side. So Sergei, you pushed a camera through these holes?
Да, видеозонд.
And explain to me what you could see when you went through.
Ну, во-первых, то, что там есть помещение, заполненное водой, раз. Второе, 2 крупных предмета мы увидели. Зеленоватого цвета с явно выраженными техническими особенностями. Бока округлые.
Sergei's camera revealed another flooded chamber and captured this footage of what he believes are 2 large metal cases that could contain pieces of the Amber Room, hidden here by the Germans while the battle for Königsberg raged above. And he's convinced there are more beyond.
Why doesn't someone just knock it down?
Это огромное согласование. Конечно, поступление воды самое страшное.
Until the museum agrees to pump the water from the bricked-in chamber, exactly what this image is will remain a mystery.
It strikes me there are many possibilities about what happened to the Amber Room, and one option definitely is that it was buried here under the streets of Kaliningrad. But as far as my investigation into that goes, well, I've hit a brick wall. Whoever built this wall definitely does not want you to get to the other side of it. Whatever is behind there has been hidden from us. And it makes me wonder why, in the last few years since it was discovered, nobody's knocked it down, especially when you think that maybe waiting behind it is the Amber Room.
The whereabouts of the Amber Room remain unknown. But in St. Petersburg, Robert is following an important lead in the hunt for the Flak Tower treasures. He's arranged a meeting with Mikhail Kamensky, the former head of Sotheby's auction house in Russia.
When I started to work for the auction house in the 90s, I met a lot of people who were the proud owners of treasures that they inherited, and the provenance was German museums.
When you say inherited, you think inherited from someone that was a Soviet soldier?
Yes, from soldiers who were in Berlin and who brought these trophies back to the Soviet Union.
During the Soviet era, possession of looted art was illegal. But in modern Russia, the situation has changed.
So I want to understand this because this is such an important point. If individuals here have these works of art that they've inherited from a Soviet Red Army soldier,
they are
however,
the legal owners.
They are the legal owners.
Inside Russia, they are the legal owners.
According to Mikhail, in the years after the collapse of the Communist bloc and the Soviet Union, Russian bankers began buying up and amassing large collections of art that once belonged to Germany.
I won't ask you to name names of works of art, but have some of the works of art that you've seen in the course of time in these private collections, are they as important or more important than some of the works at the state collections by Van Gogh and Degas and others?
Many of them are from museums, so of course they are of museum quality.
But international law put a stop to the bankers' venture.
You cannot officially sell anything at the auction or in the gallery and declare the fact that the original source is a museum collection in Germany.
They're stuck inside Russia.
Yes. These art objects cannot circulate on the art market.
So in the case of the Friedrichshain Flak Tower, there were these enormous fires thought for the longest while to have consumed all of the works of art inside. And then over the course of time, some of the paintings have emerged. Do you think some could be in the former Soviet countries?
Absolutely. But I can speak only about my personal experience. But I think this is an important search from the point of view of art history, the repatriation of the art treasures. It's like bringing it back to the world.
These are our shared cultural heritage. It's a chance for the world to see these things.
Yes.
We just heard confirmation that works of art that were taken out of Germany at the end of the war, masterpieces worth millions of dollars, museum-quality pictures, are in private collections inside Russia. In fact, I think it really gives us hope that works of art, perhaps some from the Friedrichshain Flak Tower and many, many others that are missing, are in Russia and may, over the course of time, emerge.
The hunt has taken the team from Germany to Russia. And while the Amber Room and Friedrichshain mysteries remain, both investigations have turned up compelling new leads. Back in Berlin, Robert has come to the city's Gemäldegalerie museum. He's joining Brian Horney, together with his wife and daughter, to see the Boltrafio masterpiece, which for decades had been part of their lives. In 2012, they gave it back to the gallery. It's the first, and so far only painting from Friedrichshain to have been returned to its rightful place.
Come on up, you can really look.
I'm sorry.
Looks great.
How do you feel seeing it back where it once was?
I'm sad, but I'm happy at the same time, because she's home.
And you must be proud of your parents for making this decision to bring it back.
Mm-hmm. I'm very proud of them.
Your father was an officer in the Army and played an important role in Berlin getting back on its feet in the devastation of the city in May 1945. Were he here with us today, how do you think he'd feel to see this painting that now has come full circle hanging on the wall of the Grimaldi Gallery Museum?
You know what I think he'd say? My work's done. I enjoyed it, and I'm proud of it. I really do. We knew it belonged here, and we want the people here and in other parts of the world to see it too, and enjoy it as much as we did.
Well, you've done a good thing, and I know the museum in Berlin is hugely appreciative, and of course all the people that'll have a chance to see this now that wouldn't have had a chance before. And it really gives hope to how many other pictures that were also in this flak tower in Friedrichshain that might also have survived.